So, welcome everybody. This is Mamisi Samsarah Morgan, Executive Director and founder of the Oakland Better Birth Foundation. And I am here with one of my so favorite people, Laura Cox. And you are registered nurse, Laura Cox?
I'm a registered nurse. I'm a certified lactation educator and counselor, and now in my second year in a PhD program over at UCSF.
So excellent. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm sad that you are not going to be able to be with us on Sunday. This is actually the Friday before our festival, but I'm glad we were able to get you here on Zoom on Friday, because you and I are the mamas of this wonderful
Ah,
event.
we are.
And this is our ninth year of offering these beautiful speakers and time for breastfeeding and chest feeding conversations to our community. And we had a conversation before I hit the record button about how really proud I am of this work that we both do and that we have shared. And check out our YouTube channel, Better Birth TV, because all of our COVID breastfeeding festivals are on there in full. So go take a look. This one, here we are again on Zoom, hopefully next year, number 10. We're already plotting and planning, and hopefully we'll be together, live and in person, some beautiful Oakland location to talk about breast and chest feeding and all forms of lactation and storing and CNSs and everything. All the lovely stuff. So here we are, Black Breastfeeding Week. We're still in Black Breastfeeding Week. Try to say that well. But well, first of all, how's it been since last year, my friend? How are you doing in the wide world?
It seems like, yeah, I think like it's such a benefit to have some things that are available via Zoom, so like you feel like you have more access, but then there are some things where you're like, I feel like I haven't seen you in so long, or I haven't spoken to you in so long. Even though that's not true, we've connected quite a few times, but when you don't get a chance to touch and see and smell and be together, sometimes you forget about those interactions. So I'm hanging in there. I'm in school, so super busy. Still, I'm instead of a labor nurse now, I'm a postpartum nurse, which brings me a lot of joy, right? So lots of babies and boobs and cuddles and kisses. So those are things that I really enjoy and love.
Wow,
So that's good.
You're on the front line of lactation there.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. I am, which makes me happy. I really enjoy that. Not only to be able to support, the lactating population, but also kind of get like a taste of what's happening. Like, for example, how are people being set up for success by institutions, or what can we do as nurses to better help support, or what am I seeing a lot in postpartum that could be avoided or better managed prenatally, things like that kind of get my brain rumbly and tumbly.
I'm glad you're keeping an eye on that, because someone really has to. I do think that the system very much sets parents up to fail at lactation.
Definitely.
And one of the biggest things that we're seeing is that this induction at 39 weeks on healthy pregnancies is just so not helpful.
Yeah, I will say that, birth outcomes do definitely play a significant role in lactation in terms of like its physiological components, right? Like, excess fluid, and then you add on trauma that can happen along with that, or postpartum hemorrhage, or all of those factors that play a significant role. But I also hear a lot, which I still find to be shocking after doing this work for, gosh, I'm almost at 12 years doing this work. And what I find to be interesting that's continued throughout throughout my 12 years of working with the lactating population is the sheer shock of how challenging lactation is in that first beginning, right? The lack of knowledge or support for people to achieve like prenatally, so that when they finally get in the moment, and I think like their brain's like, sweet, labor's done, baby's out, I'm safe, baby's safe, we're good. And then you have lactation, it's like, whoa, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, or this was a lot more challenging. So I get a lot of questions in those early phases of, I don't have enough milk, or my baby is constantly nursing, I don't think they're getting enough, or, things like that, where we're not having meaningful conversations with our prenatal population about infant feeding and what does it look like in those first few days, because it's constant, right? You just gave birth, there is no napping, right? There is no, I get to rest for 8 hours and recover. This is why we're all tired. This is why we have Mother's Day, because we're just at this
Exactly.
point baseline tired, right? And so you're exhausted. You just had this birth and whatever it was, and now every 2 hours you are going to have to feed the baby, whether you do it from the breast or from the bottle or whatever. No matter what's happening, babies will be fed, and you're going to be exhausted. And I feel like that's a really big, like that's a big hurdle, a big struggle, a big thing. Like, whoa, I didn't expect that. And they associate that with lactation. They associate that with breastfeeding is hard or whatever, without recognizing like, I still have to get up. I still have to wash bottles. I still have to do things no matter what's going to happen. And that is something very hard to, I think it's hard to convey in a postpartum space. Like this is expected, this is normal, to where like, absolutely not, I can't do this, right? And then they give up, and then they realize like, oh, it's hard already, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and also without all of the extra hormonal supports that you're given when you just physiologically birth your child.
Right.
There are hormonal supports that your body will give you to help you deal with being tired, to help
Yeah.
your little one is like programmed to come out of your body looking for the boob,
Yeah.
or looking to be fed. And so when that's been tampered with, when that
Mm,
whole relay has been tampered with, it becomes way more difficult than it is. It's challenging, period. But then they add
mm.
another whole layer of challenge on top of it.
And then also like that, those outcomes also in turn can be shared by the infant, right? Where I could have increasingly sleepy infants, which
Right.
also then creates its own pathway of barriers or challenges to get baby latched. And now we have a lot of interventions set up to deal with that as well. So it definitely is a balancing act, and birth definitely plays a significant role in lactation.
I know what I'm remembering what I really specifically wanted to talk to you about, because you're the only lactation education person who in my career, which is lengthy, right? That really shined a bright light on the importance of that first week of breastfeeding.
Yeah, it's clutch. It's
And so
so important.
I would love you to chat about that some. Like, what's so important about that first week?
Yeah. Oh, man, this is my favorite thing to talk about. How is that possible? My favorite person and my favorite thing to talk about happening all at once. Oh, okay. I'm going to try to stay focused, because I can get really excited and I go all kinds of different places and all these different tangents. So I'm going to do big, broad strokes and try to understand or try to convey why it's important in the first week. And really, it goes in the stages of lactation. So the two big stages that are really important to understand is lactogenesis 1 and lactogenesis 2. And when we're in lactogenesis 1, which is what happens prenatally, right? I call it the Whitney Houston phase, because I'm every person, I'm every woman. When she sang that song and she was pregnant, and
Mhm.
that music video is still one of my most favorite songs. And it is lactogenesis 1. You're making eyeballs, you're making fingernails, you're making milk, you're doing all the things, right? And so in the Whitney Houston phase, you have two hormones in play, and that's progesterone and prolactin. Whenever progesterone's around, it will always inhibit prolactin. It's like the man, it will always keep prolactin down. And prolactin is the hormone that's really responsible for stimulating milk, for making milk, for telling your body we need to make milk. And so we have a little bit of it. And because of this balance between progesterone and prolactin, where I have a little bit of prolactin and I have progesterone, that now I make colostrum. So I'm not going to make a ton of colostrum because right now, especially prenatally, baby's inside. I don't really need a bunch of colostrum on the inside, right? But when baby comes out, I still make colostrum because there's so many benefits behind colostrum, right? Immunological factors, proteins that line the gut and close the infant gut, that gut microbe that we're talking a lot about, and how that plays a significant role in intelligence and risks to diabetes and cancers, and just like a whole plethora of things of why colostrum is so important. And so those first days, we need colostrum. But we have to remember, right, with lactogenesis 1, we have progesterone and prolactin. At birth, we deliver the placenta, and the placenta was really what was feeding our system with progesterone. So when the placenta takes off, our progesterone levels start to go down. They go down pretty significant. And as they go down, prolactin skyrockets, right? The thing that needs to be really hit home here in this transition between progesterone leaving and prolactin going up is that the cells that are responsible for making milk need to get the signal to make milk, and they get that through prolactin. But you need to create these, they're called prolactin receptor sites. I almost want to get them like tattooed on my belly, like prolactin receptor sites, because really that's what's responsible for our milk supply at 3 months and at 6 months and at a year, right? Is that if we have enough prolactin receptor sites to accept prolactin signal, then we will be able to make milk for however long we choose to, however long the dyad would like to. But the only way you can make prolactin receptor sites is through nipple stimulation and milk removal, like removal of colostrum. And if you don't do enough nipple stimulation and milk removal, then the body doesn't get the signal to make these prolactin receptor sites. And then if it doesn't get enough information to make those prolactin receptor sites, then the cells that are responsible for making milk won't get the signal, and you just will not have the milk supply. So, and this is what we know is the phrase, as we start to move from lactogenesis 1 to lactogenesis 2, this is what we know is the phase of like your milk coming in, right? Like your milk coming in, like I'm Elijah, and I'm like waiting for Elijah to come through the door with my glass of wine. I'm not waiting for anything to happen, right? My milk isn't coming in because the power isn't in me when I say that. Well, we're going to wait for your milk to come in. That power now belongs to somebody else, right? Like, it doesn't belong to me. Doesn't belong to you. It belongs to whoever's coming in at that time. But remember, we were Whitney Houston like 2 seconds ago. Wasn't I just Whitney Houston 2 seconds ago? So no, through nipple stimulation and milk removal and the creation of prolactin receptor sites, then my milk will increase in volume because more of those cells are getting stimulated because I have put baby to breast every 2 hours or on demand. I've fed my baby 8 to 12 times in a 24-hour period. And so with that, or more, as a matter of fact, in these first 3 to 5 days, baby will, what we do called cluster feeding. Baby just nurses and nurses because babies know if I do nipple stimulation and milk removal, then I will have a milk supply where I can survive. Babies are not dumb. They've never been dumb. They're very, very intelligent. We're the ones, we're the ones with the problem, right?
Well,
And so with that, then if we have increase of nipple stimulation and milk removal, we make more prolactin receptor sites. And with more prolactin receptor sites, we have more cells that are stimulated, and more cells that are stimulated are going to make more milk. And so then as we move into what we commonly know under lactation, which is the supply and demand, then it's the infant or the dyad that drives the milk volume. And then you have the cells that will receive that stimulus, like, oh, I need to make milk, or I don't need to make milk, oh, I'm good. And then you manage that from up until the point where everybody decides that they're going to be all done. So I hope that was,
yeah,
I can go all day about this.
No, you definitely got it. I'm glad to have that. And we want to keep talking about it because, of course, since I got that clarity from you about the importance of what's going on in that first week, I, of course, as a doula, share that with my clients a lot because there's this thing about everybody wants to wrap the baby up in the cute little hospital blanket, and they all are adorable. and we all want our baby burrito picture, but that kid really does need to be close to its parent's body, close to mama, and smelling her, and being and signaling to her body that there's a baby here that needs feeding.
Exactly that. Exactly. And when I see, and no offense to the family members and the grandparents, but I am definitely that nurse where I'm like, okay, baby needs to not be in the grandmother's arms right now. When they're with me in the hospital, that's day 1, day 2, day 3. The dyad needs to stay together all the time, every time, skin to skin, licking, kissing, touching, because you have to remember, right? This is all this baby knows is this person. They know their smell, their heart rate, their breath, everything. And so when they're removed from them, they don't understand. It doesn't make sense. All I know is this, and now I have to sit in a box, and it's quiet, and it's weird, and it's light, and it's cold, it's whatever those things are. And so as this baby transitions to being earthside, they need to be with their person. They need to be with and I'm talking about both parents. I'm talking about this, whatever that situation is, they need to be, that dyad or that triad needs to be together, like touching all the time. And then grandparents or family members or whoever, you come and you celebrate, and you bring food, and you do dishes, and you clean the house, and you do laundry. Most of the time when I go visit new parents, it's pretty much what I'm doing. I don't need to hold babies. They're cute. They're super cute, but I don't really need to hold them. That's not my job right now as their community member.
The culture is so baby hungry. I really think they are, in a way. I mean, a lot of people really just don't have access to little kids to adore.
And they want to help, right? You want to help. You want to take, here, let me take the baby. That's okay.
I think people want the endorphins that you get when you hold a kiddo.
I see.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because there's nothing, I mean, definitely it's calming to me when I did a lot of postpartum night work. Oh my goodness, sitting in a comfy chair with a sweet little newborn. Oh dear, that's heaven.
It's very cute. They're very cute. I agree.
And where they really do need to be is with their parents. And especially the parent that's feeding them.
Exactly. And those first few, and that first week, and when it comes to lactation, I mean, really, it's that first month of that steep learning curve, and that frequent between cluster feeding and growth spurts and all of those things. It's a plethora of challenges, and if that person doesn't have community support, or if they don't have the support of a doula, or if they don't have support of any kind of lactation person in the community, whether that's an IBCLC or a CLC or somebody like me, or like a WIC breastfeeding peer counselor, who, by the way, are single-handedly, keeping breastfeeding rates high and trying to keep people breastfeeding and supporting them on that. So big, huge lift up to our WIC breastfeeding peer counselors. So they're amazing.
Absolutely. We're so grateful for them. And
definitely
working in communities that sadly have, they literally have none of those supports. So we're very grateful for peer breastfeeding counselors, and so many of them that I know, folks who've started out as peer counselors are now breastfeeding consultants. So that's nice to see that growth as well.
Definitely. That's an excellent point. I think that it was both the IBCLE and WIC that found a pathway for those people to move into advancement within certification. But that's new. So I'm very happy that they've made those changes and amplified the fact that lactation support has definitely been a female, white, woman-led profession for quite some time, and it hasn't served us in a positive way, to be honest.
That is a very, very good point.
Yeah,
that is a really powerful point.
Yeah. I mean, as being gatekeepers, and I will say, like, I've considered being an IBCLC, and I mean, as a nurse, I needed, I think it was like the state of California required that I had 800 hours of service, like precepted hours of time, and in all facets of nursing, whether it's public health or inpatient, outpatient, all of those experiences in order for me to be able to sit for my boards. But for you to become a lactation consultant, you need 1,000 hours of volunteer time. So this is time that you have to dedicate to find someone that's willing to precept you, and you have to do it for 1,000 hours. And if you think about it, a lot of those, white women, IBCLCs that were helping other white women get that, or other, people of privilege that were able to spend 1,000 hours unpaid to move forward with this without even considering before being considered to sit for the boards also. So I think like it's a step in the right direction to allow more pathways to have more access. I think we definitely need to do more, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's a huge step in the right direction.
Mm.
It's huge, huge, huge. It is so
Mm-hmm.
important. I mean, I think I know so much of the work that I do with clients is I show them videos of things,
Mm.
because so much of the stuff we do as parenting, just organically, historically, we've learned by watching other humans do it.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So if we were all in our respective villages, and all human beings initially were beings in villages,
Mm.
right? And so little girls and boys saw breastfeeding because they saw mom, auntie, grandma,
Mm-hmm.
lady
Mm-hmm.
down the road
Mm-hmm.
saw it doing it. And then not in
Yeah.
cultures before people got colonized and made crazy by Christians. I'm a Christian, I can say it.
I'm not.
Well,
That's okay.
I can say it for you. I can say it.
Yeah,
Nobody
I
gets
agree.
to.
I totally align with it. Yeah, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm like, because we got to be covered up. Like, why? I mean,
Yeah.
why? And if
Yeah.
my clients are in their own home, and like I come in for a postpartum visit, and the mom's fully dressed like she's going to work. I'm like, didn't you
Yeah.
just have a baby?
Right.
What's going on? I
Yeah.
didn't even want to put pants on, and I had
Yeah.
beautiful birthing experiences. I'm very blessed for that. I didn't feel like having pants on.
No. No.
Laying around in my favorite nightie suited me really well.
Yeah. 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 I agree.
That's what folks that are not feeling free. I know they need to. Sometimes folks are just cute, adorable, and silly. It's like, you're going to get all dressed up for me. I was there when you gave birth. It was
Right. I saw all the things. Yeah. Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
That's something beautiful that we share.
Yeah.
And and you get to continue that for your lovely little baby, who just the smell of its parent is ambrosia
Mm-hmm.
to a little newborn. Just
Yeah.
ambrosia.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
that's nice. So that's one of the things that I really loved sharing with my teen moms. I share
Mm.
it with all the moms, but especially when I was working for 14 years, I worked almost exclusively with young mamas having their babies who are aging out of the foster care system. And Laura was our champion of helping
Mm.
these sweet mamas with breastfeeding. And these young ladies still, if I bump into one of them on the street, which I'm bound to do at this point in my career, I run into clients all the time. I'm like, how's Miss Laura doing? How's she doing?
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, she's doing great. She went off and became a nurse. And they're like, oh, I bet she's a
Mm.
good nurse. Like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about that time as well. I mean, one of my first experiences with working with our population, then we've it was a whole situation of why this person was having a hard time getting baby to latch, and we had done all these things, and she had texted me at like 11 o'clock at night with a video of that baby on the breast, and I cried. I was just so beside myself with, she had overcome all of these obstacles, and she had want to breastfeed, and she did it. She crushed it. She, on her terms, when she, and I was just in complete and total utter awe of her amazingness. In that video, oh, watching that baby, I think I showed it. I watched it so many times. I showed it to my husband. I was like, oh my goodness. And it was the most, and in my mind, like, this is it. This is what I want to do. We got to do this. This is it. This is the thing. This is the dream. It is. So
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm glad that folks like you exist. I'm glad that folks like me exist.
me too.
And I also am so sad that it is so hard. I don't think it needs to be as hard as it is. And I don't think that we have to give up all of our technology in order to be respectful of our biological basis,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
to be more, we don't have to throw out everything that's anthropologically possible,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it is harder because folks haven't seen it. They don't have good experiences of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the folks who are trying are being waylaid by the way over medicalization of birth.
Mm-hmm.
Probably definitely much more now than when I was having babies.
Mm.
My twins are as old as my practice. My twins are 43 years old. And I'm just
Mm.
watching it get progressively more medicalized. And that's
Mm.
scary because it was bad when I started.
Mm-hmm. It was.
But the C-section rate was 25% when I started, and
Mm.
it's 33 and up, depending upon what hospital you're in.
Exactly. It's exactly it. That's it. And one of the worst in the developed nations in terms of
If not
maternal
the worst.
mortality.
If not the, and it should not be that way. We also need to talk about things like making sure people have adequate time off.
Mm.
They're not,
Mm. Paid
you know,
family leave. Yeah,
how
I mean,
about that? How
us in
about that?
California, this is the, I think, one contributing factor to why our breastfeeding rates are the way they are. And people are still shocked, like, well, God, why at 3 months are people stopping breastfeeding? I'm like, I
You
mean,
have to go back to
you have
work.
to go back to work. I have no choice. Like, we have work policies that aren't supportive. You have small businesses that aren't supporting on how can I support my lactating employee? I have no idea. What can I do?
You
Right? I
have
mean,
no time.
I think that we're not addressing big pictures, right? Like, people are under the assumption, well, you have to give people this access and you have to give people these rights. And it's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to pay for that or do that or implement that or anything like that. And I feel like that's a legit that is just as legit as this person needing to have support, to provide human milk in whatever fashion that is, right? That means working part-time or whatever whatever that is, right? I don't think that we're considering all the things, and I find it very challenging that we're not considering all the things where, 2 years ago we were shut down, and meetings that could have been emails are now actually emails, or working from home, which was never a possibility, is now, right? So I think we can pivot. It's like,
We
will
can.
we, and under what will be the driving factor, right? And lactation is just not the moneymaker, right? It's not the
Well,
big ticket.
it's very frustrating because there are studies to show that when you support your employees' biological needs, they're better workers.
Right.
So it's not about empowering all these people to be scofflaws and not to, because if they're paying them hourly, they're pissed off that not every single little, but people compensate for that.
Yeah.
And people are grateful to have been given the opportunity to, the I don't know what just happened there,
It's a lot.
but
Yeah.
it was a lot. You well up with emotion. But one of the things that COVID did that was actually helpful for everybody is that, oh, people are like, oh, I like being home with my kids.
Right. I felt like when we all got paid that 1 month where we got like, and I'm like, this is it. Like, this is where I start to really align. Like, I think we need to have, access. Just imagine if you got $1,000 a month that just gave you that extra cushion, just gave you that little bit of extra. Like, maybe I don't have to work full time, or maybe I work full time, but now I can start saving for vacation, or I can start like just fairness. I
Just
can pay
living.
for therapy. We can go some anything, like just that little thing that you can check off in the stress load that is our lives and our care and our, like, all the things that we have to manage, right? If we had access to that, what that would do, what we're paying for childcare is
Ridiculous.
astronomical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just on top of what we're here in the Bay Area, we're paying for rent or gas, or I mean, I live here in Vallejo. I have to cross a bridge, like toll, all these things that it's just it's there's no balance, and it makes it more and more challenging to try to find resources or ways for us to manage. And the only way that we can do that is by staying together. The only way that we can do that is amplifying our community leaders' voices, our elders, the people that have been doing this for so long and are still saying, why aren't we doing this? Or why can't we
Right.
have more funding for this? Why can't we have these things? And I start to see that with researchers now by using, community advocate boards where they bring in community leaders in whatever topic or area that they want to do research, and they ask them, what does your community need? What can we do? What voices can we
That
amplify?
should
Where
be
can
the
we?
first step, really. That
And
should
we're just
be.
now starting to do that, right? I know the Milk Lab has been doing that for quite some time, going to different communities and asking them, what's important to you? What do you need to have uplifted? What would you like to hear? What do you need, right? And I feel like why haven't researchers been doing that from the jump?
Forgive me that. I have to put you on pause for. Okay, so thank you for that little pause that had to happen. And yeah, I mean, all the things that we are discussing uh are so important. And I know specifically during this month, there are people all over the country having various conversations. And this week, folks have been talking about the importance of Black folks and lactating and breastfeeding. We need to do this stuff. So our little ones, it's a wonderful feeling knowing that you're providing that nourishment for your little offspring. And breastfed babies get to be these beautiful chunky monkeys, and the high fructose corn syrup doesn't have to play any role in that process. Imagine that.
No.
You know? But I always want to give encouragement to folks who might be having struggles right now. Please reach out to Oakland Better Birth Foundation to
Mhm.
find a wonderful lactation educator or a
Mhm.
lactation counselor. We know all the best ones.
Mhm.
If we don't know about you, let us know about you. If you're out there,
Mhm.
you're
Please.
a lactation educator, lactation counselor, and particularly if you are one of color, if you're one who speaks Spanish, if you speak Mandarin, we want to know where you are. We want to send folks to you so that want to keep you busy, keep your rent paid. And we want to make sure that folks who want to breastfeed have the support that they need to do that. And I want to thank my beautiful sister, Laura, for showing up every year, no matter what's going on in her life, showing up as best she can. That's why we're doing this recording this year, so that she can be working and being a wonderful RN on Sunday. And it's, you know, I know you are so, you're appropriately modest as an ally, and I love you for that. And I also do want to lift up the fact that you were there for years for our beautiful teen mom population. With that group of women that we work with were mostly women of color, and the care that you gave them was exquisite and kind and competent and caring. And that should be, that should be lifted up. No?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I also would like to lift up just the amount of amazing doulas that you're putting into this community. I mean, I see some of the doulas that I was teaching through the Better Birth Foundation out there on the floor, or I see them out there, you know, protesting or making big, huge waves out here in our communities, just as they should, just lighting fire to all the paths that need, and just I could not be more proud. There's so many times where I see that I'm like, what? You're crushing it. And it is such an honor to have been a part of that circle and to watch that. And I want to thank you for all that you do, Samsara, which is like a lot. And then all what the Better Birth Foundation has done. I have been a part of this organization for quite some time, and I could not be more honored and proud of what's happening. It brings a tear to my eye just how amazing, and the things. I mean, we've been together for quite some time, and we were together before we even started this, so we're beyond our 10 years together.
As our
I mean, when you
friendship
think about
is older, yeah, our
yeah,
friendship is
I
beyond.
mean, so it has, the journey and the things that we have seen and the things that we have watched the birthing and the lactating population shift and move and pivot and go through, has, it's profound, and it is amazing work. It's very hard work, and so being able to share this work with you is an honor, beyond an honor. And so, and while I can't be there for our Oakland Breastfeeding Festival, our BFF, it will always be our BFF. It is our baby, just like how you say,
Our little baby.
and all the time, all the time. And I can't wait for next year, to be perfectly honest.
We need to start plotting and
I love
planning.
this year. This year is good too. This year is a good year, right?
Absolutely,
But I mean,
absolutely.
10 years,
That's a very big deal.
I think that's something. I think that's really something. Kind of excited about what it's going
Think
to be.
about that. Let's start thinking about that now. Your suggestion about that earlier, it really looks like, yeah, you want to make it shine, you make it spark.
Right. Because I think it's like important to recognize right now, like we do this work because it's needed, and we amplify these voices because these voices need to have that amplification, and they're here, right? It's not like we're creating these voices or something. They've been here and they've been loud. So how can we help make it louder, right? And that's, I think, one of the foundational works that the Better Birth Foundation does. And
Sure.
but I do want to say that Black women are breastfeeding, right? Our rates are going, our initiation, Black breastfeeding initiation in hospitals or whatever are on par with everybody else, right? They're up there, right? They're up there, but it's how can we sustain? What does that look like next? What are our Black leaders saying that we need, and how can we make that happen? What does community need, right? All of those things are just so important. And knowing that work that the Better Birth Foundation is doing is making impact. They are making a difference. Our doulas are out there crushing it and supporting birth, and our birthing population, our lactating population are doing the thing. They're breastfeeding and they're birthing, right? So step one. So how can we sustain that? How can we keep it? How can we keep moving that forward? What do we need? What do they need?
Little ones, benefit from breast milk for as long as the child and the mom feel comfortable doing it.
That's right.
There's benefits to toddlers, and so, yeah, I mean, there's always work to be done.
All the time. Year
and
10.
I'm honored to do it. I'm honored to do it with you.
Same.
So on that note, we're going to say goodbye. The rest of the festival is going to continue in a little bit. And maybe depending upon where we are in the schedule, we might take a little break after this recording. And we'll see you again really soon. I love you, Ms. Laura. Take good
I love you,
care.
Samsarah.
Console
I'll
your
see you
whole
soon.
family. Yes.
I will. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.